There we go. So how did everyone enjoy that nostalgia trip just now and a walk down nostalgia lane?
Actually, I wonder how many people have played Ragnarok Online back in the old days.
Yeah, it seems like the only one that seems to know or has played the game is Karta in the chat, actually.
Yeah, it's just him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only
Hey,
popular
Beauty, good to see you on
in
the
Southeast
chat, man.
Asia.
What were you gonna say, Ken?
Maybe it's only popular in Southeast Asia.
That's the thing though, you'd be surprised because when I was playing Ragnarok, well, on private servers, there's most of the people that I knew was actually a good mix of Asians, like Southeast Asians, East Asians, and also quite a lot of Europeans and Americans. So it's definitely spread all across the globe, and it has had servers all across the world as well. They have like Brazilian RO servers, European RO servers.
That's
so
interesting.
Yeah, it is maybe not as widely known and popular as it is in Asia, but yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, because I remember playing it, like I said in the chat earlier just now. Played it quite a lot back in primary school. I think so. It was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was such
crazy though.
Yeah, it's such a good game because we've never had anything like that before. MMO wasn't such a big thing, and then Ragnarok Online came along with really good art back in the day. I think it still looks good today. So
the thing is, so just to give a little bit of context for those people that have never played it at all, Ragnarok Online is an RPG, MMORPG that's been developed by Korean game company Gravity, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I think what made them unique back then was the fact that they placed 2D pixel art, sprite art, which was gorgeously animated, into a 3D world. So I think that was quite new or unique for its time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2.5D of sorts. And I think Yuki makes an interesting point too, because where he says that he was too poor to play it back then because like a lot of MMOs,
right?
They had vouchers.
These vouchers.
You had to play for like a couple of months membership.
Yeah, it was actually quite expensive back when I was just a primary school kid. I have to spend quite a lot of money just to get the voucher for like, I think a month was like 100,000, but nowadays it's not much, but when I was in primary school that was a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount. That's like what, worth like 10 comic books, you know?
Yeah.
How's my voice now as well? Because Latte Milky said my voice is a little bit small, and I tried to crank up the volume dial a little bit on my microphone.
It sounds fine.
Let me know if it's better now, chat, or if it was okay before and I can lower it down a bit.
But yeah, speaking of the game, I think we should introduce the podcast and then what it's about today and why we're talking about Ragnarok Online.
I feel like we can just keep on going on and on about how much this game has impacted us, and we can talk about it as we are doing the redesign for it.
For sure.
So, for today's episode, we will be doing another design jam. So that is an episode where we invite you to join us in creating our own interpretation of a design prompt. However, instead of creating a design from randomly generated keywords, which is what we've doing for the previous two, I think, we have decided to do a redesign of the game that we've just been rambling on about, which is Ragnarok Online. And we'll be finishing it off with an artwork of the week segment and also a Q&A. And the design jam is open to everyone, so if you guys do want to join in, feel free to do so. And you can always do it at your own pace as well. You don't have to do it while we are working on it live right now. And you can also choose to design whatever you want from the game. So from the characters, monsters, props to environments. And since it's an MMO, you have, huge buffet to choose from.
Oh, yeah.
And if you decide to do so, be sure to tag us at TDT Design Jam, which we will show the hashtag later on, or post it on our Facebook group, and we will do a feedback session on some of the designs, some selected designs, and we'll be featuring it on the next episode as well.
Yeah, so if you guys are doing some of the redesigns along with us, and you want to get critiqued on your design, well, we'll focus mainly on the design itself, but you can also ask us anything else that you want to be critiqued on. But if you do submit to us, please mention it, and then we'll try our best to critique it on the next episode. And for the next episode as well, we'll be showing off the continuation of this episode, and hopefully we'll be showing the finished artwork as well. So today we'll just be doing the sketches, and we've gathered the mind map and references of the locations that we both wanted to redesign.
Yes. So we mentioned that you could choose from anything you want, such as class or even props. And Ken and I have decided to try something different for once, because the last two podcasts that we've been doing have involved props. So we wanted to try doing something a little bit more epic and hopefully also more interesting as well to look at. So we can actually bring up some of the mind maps that we've done and some of the mood boards that we've collected ahead of time, and we can also explain the environments that we have chosen.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe we should show some screenshots from the game itself, so there's a little bit more context of what the game is like.
I've actually collected a few, but I've forgotten how to bring the Photoshop tab up because I pressed something. And
press tab.
Tab? Is it tab?
I don't know. I'll just show it on my screen then.
Yeah, you can do that, Ken. That's really strange because I normally know how to do this almost like automatically, but I've kind of forgotten. And I'll just read out some of the comments as well from the chat. In the meantime, Noryu said, only played WoW and Ultima Online. Ragnarok wasn't that much popular. Well, yeah, compared to those games, definitely not as popular.
Yeah. So
my mic is a bit muffled.
Interesting.
That's interesting. Let me try increasing the gain at the back of the mic.
Yeah, you can see on the right side of my screen. Let me solo my screen.
Is it better now, guys? Let me know, please.
Yeah, on the right side you can see like a collection of the classes. This is the initial launch game classes, but nowadays there's like transcendent classes, job 3, job 4, I don't know. haven't been updated with the game. You can see how the characters are in 2D and the background is in 3D. So it's quite a unique art style for its time.
Oh,
I still think it looks good today, but maybe I'm biased.
That's the thing though, because the game itself relies on sprite art, it doesn't age quite as badly as some more 3D heavy games of that time.
Perhaps.
I think that is actually the case.
And I think it's also a case of really successful art direction and style, because they actually released the sequel to the game, like another MMO, but it's not as successful because I feel like it lost. Well, they launched it twice actually, but both of them weren't successful. Probably because they kind of lost the identity of the game by translating everything to 3D.
I was actually looking forward to that game so much when I heard they were releasing Ragnarok 2. But when I realized that that the game just looked like any generic Asian MMO at the time, I completely lost interest in it.
For sure.
There's just something that they managed to capture with the early graphics of the game that still hasn't been able to be replicated. And I think they even released a mobile phone game version of Ragnarok recently.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah. Have you tried that out, Ken?
No, my wife tried it, but she stopped. I'm not sure how good it is. Yeah, I'm not really following the development of the game.
Yeah, not too interested myself, honestly. I think I'm just too biased towards the original game. Alright, so Ken, I'm actually interested to hear about the location that you've chosen to redesign. And for those that also do not know about the history or the background story of the location, Ken will be explaining it right now as well.
Oh man, you're putting so much pressure on me. Because
okay,
to be fair,
not know it to a deep level, but you can just give like a bit of a context.
Because to be honest, I haven't actually gone to this point in the official game, not at the private servers, but in the official game. So I don't really know exactly what the background story of the city is, but the city itself is called the Halloween Town, Nibelheim, and it's inhabited by ghosts and witches, basically supernatural monsters that you can just hunt right outside of the town, if I remember correctly. Like if you go outside of this gate here, you find monsters. And the city is quite high level in terms of the monsters. So if you're low level, you don't go here because you'll just immediately die. And the design of the city is very inspired by, I think, Tim Burton, with the crooked roofs and like the proportions of the building,
and like Halloween inspired.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Niflheim in like Norse mythology, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the city of the dead.
Yes.
Or something along those lines. So I think that's why they decided to build a theme around that, but putting a more fun and whimsical twist to it with that layer of Halloween motifs.
Yeah. So as you can see, it's just filled with horror movie stuff, props, graveyards, these creepy lampposts or fences. And this is the location that I will be redesigning. And hopefully it won't look too much like Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hopefully. I mean, I can see why you would think that that's a problem.
But I'll do my best. I think it's gonna be quite interesting because I don't usually do horror genre for my portfolio or for my own personal work. So this will be quite a fun challenge. And I think both of us are gonna be doing this stylized, right? We're gonna be doing it stylized.
I'm just gonna go for semi-stylized kind of stuff as I normally do. And even for your personal work, you've been doing something that's a bit more stylized. So I think this would be a good way to practice that workflow as well for you.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, your last piece was fantastic. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out on Ken's ArtStation or Facebook and Instagram.
Thanks for the plug.
It's actually the one. It's the image that's been used for the promotional images for this episode. So some of you might have seen it already. But and let me know if my mic is better. I've turned up the gain at the back of my microphone, so it should be a little bit louder now. But if it's not, I'll increase the volume a bit more. So, for what I've chosen as well, I've decided to actually do the port town of Alberta. So this is actually one of the areas that even beginning players would have been to, since this is where you would job change into a merchant class. And it's one of the classical and vanilla locations of the game. So I think it would be quite familiar for those that have even maybe just played the game very briefly. And the reason why I chose it is that, well, I've been having a fascination with coastal towns recently with the design languages, and this location from the game actually has taken inspiration from real life locations, and in this case I think it's Santorini in Greece.
Yep, in Greece.
Yes, except they've just decided to add in a few interpretations of their own, and I thought that it would, I guess, to be quite honest, take a little bit of a load off of my back in terms of coming up with a newer design language. Whereas if I chose another town such as Geffen, which is like a mage city, I might have to really stretch and rack my brain in order to come up something that looks magical and interesting. And besides, coastal towns always look really cool. I can imagine, just really, what do you call it? Really redesigning the area and just making certain effects much more beautiful than it is, like the coast or the rocks near the harbor, making more crystalline.
Do you plan on redesigning the layout, or are you gonna follow the layout of the town?
A little bit. I'm gonna try and retain the feel. So I think with this redesign, both of us are trying to maintain the feel, so that if we told a person that has played Ragnarok that this is this town, then they would be able to recognize it. Well, that's the objective, at least. So I don't know how you're planning to approach it, Ken, but that's what I'm planning to do. It's kind of just doing an up-res and like HD remake.
Well, like I said, I haven't actually been to this town in the official game, so I don't really remember what the layout of the city is. So I'm just gonna make whatever I think looks good in terms of the layout for like an HD game.
Yeah, as long as you maintain the basic feel of it, I think it should be quite recognizable for most RO players, since it's like the only Halloween town. Whereas with Alberta, there's quite a few other towns that have a similar flavor to it.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that, well, it doesn't change so much that it gets mistaken for something else. And I've also gathered other reference images as well to support my redesign. So a lot of these images actually have been a result of the mind map that I've created. So this is what I have done first before gathering and searching for my reference. So I can quickly go through my mind map first. Yeah.
Okay. I'll start sketching then while you do the mind map, and then I can go to my mind map once you're done.
Yeah, that'll be a good idea. So it's not too boring just watching two floating heads just talking about the game.
Okay.
So for this town of Alberta, I've actually just started off by Googling up what exactly the town is in the context of the game. So I'm approaching it in a way that I would with a brief from a client, for example. If I was told to redesign the city, then I would ask the client for some information that could help me choose a specific direction, or at least an approximate direction of what it should feel and look like. So these were some of the key words and sentences that I've gathered from the Wikipedia of the game. So Alberta is the home to a merchant guild. It is also the gateway to many of the cultural towns. So being a port city, I guess it's a way that you can travel to different areas of the game. And also, as I've mentioned before, it is the area where you can, I guess, change your class into a merchant class. So one of the things that immediately comes to mind is that I wanted to feel like a very busy and lively port. And maybe because it's a gateway to many cultural towns, I'm going to try and make it maybe a little bit influenced by many different cultures, at least in maybe the people and some of the smaller decorations, whereas I keep the major flavor of the architecture. And the port city of Alberta, where the ocean breeze is always pleasing, so I'm guessing that if there's a cool breeze, the area would be quite open, it wouldn't be so claustrophobia inducing, and but busy enough that it will still feel lively. And with the merchant guild, maybe I can just represent that by having a lot of shops or cargo lying around, which would indicate that there's lots of commerce going on. And some of the more practical things, or at least things that are more for the purpose of the game, there's an armor dealer, chef assistant, item collector, tool dealer, weapon dealer, Kafra employee, which is a staple of every Ragnarok game, and sailor, sea captain. So that just conjures up to me that, or reinforces the image in my head of there being a lot of stores and a lot of life in it.
Alright, so my question for you, will you be drawing or rendering a lot of characters in your scene? Because it feels like a lot of your mind, what you said just now, is about the characters, the people, the culture of the people who live in the city.
I'm going to be having some, and this image, I think it has quite a nice feel to it. Although it's chibi here, I do like how crowded it feels.
Right.
And I think there's another one that I got from a Ghibli film. Maybe it's not on my... Give me a moment, my computer's lagging a bit with pure ref because I have quite a huge mood board. Well, in any case, yeah, I do plan on populating it with some people, but not necessarily that it becomes the main focus of the image or that it becomes too overwhelming.
I see.
So I think that would be important in selling the image. And perhaps with some recognizable Ragnarok Online characters, people would be able to recognize it as belonging to that game.
Good idea. Might fill my city with monsters instead.
Yeah, I mean, most of the inhabitants of that area are either ghosts or monsters, which are on the outskirts of the city, so it wouldn't be a bad idea at all, I think, Ken.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Go on with your mind map.
Not a problem. So with the mind map, I've decided to just gather reference images of different harbor towns, so from Greece and Croatia and some from Italy as well. And most of these references, I decided to keep it faithful to the original designs with or at least a similar flavor. And I've also decided to gather reference images on what the port could look like, or at least what the feel of a port should look like. And in my mind map, I've also explored other things as well. So let me pull that up. So I've done explorations on what I could do to make it feel like a merchant town. And one of the feelings that I wanted to have in the town is that the feeling that it is rich. So I thought about maybe it could be take on some motifs and influence from a peacock, and that could be a consistent motif throughout the whole town. So maybe the way that the docks are arranged can be akin to the way that a peacock's feather kind of fans out, or maybe the colors can be blue with a little bit of teal, and maybe some of the way that they embellish some of the buildings can also draw inspiration from Peacock, such as mosaic tiles and things like that. And I've also listed a whole bunch of functional reference, so thinking about what things we associate with merchants, such as cargo, carts, barrels, warehouse, cranes, and so on, and other items that could be associated with a port city. And I wanted to reinforce the feeling of a coastal town, and there's some things that I've already gotten from the original screenshots, but I've also decided to think about other ways that I can make the town feel coastal. And most of the references that I have seem to indicate that coastal towns actually have quite light colors with their architecture. None of them really seem very dark, so I'm going to stick to that, and perhaps with more color accents than the original screenshots, because the original one seems to be predominantly blue with some minor warm accents, so I can make it feel a bit more colorful as well. And I've also looked at other influences such as carnivals and festivals, and even something that's a little bit more out there such as Venetian carnivals as well. And I think that could be I could grab some cool patterns or motifs and put it into my redesign as well.
I really like the way you came up with the peacock idea and the motifs.
Oh, and I think if I want to make it feel lively, I think some common symbols that people use to represent that is water and like even plants, because they denote life. So I think from some of the reference images I've gathered, I can put in lots of foliage or plants that are just dangling from the roofs, and I think that could make the area feel very fresh and very lively as a result. And maybe some water fountains. And I thought it was super cool the way that these flower pots are arranged as well, that flare out like a peacock feather. So
that's pretty cool.
I could repeat that throughout the architecture designs as well.
It's really interesting that you got that reference almost exactly in the idea that you're looking for.
And that's the interesting part doing the mind map, is that because I didn't do the mind map and then I closed it up and then look for reference, I actually go back to my mind map if the reference images I find seems to inspire something from it. And hey Damas, good to see you in the chat, man.
Hello.
And I actually came up with the idea for the peacock first, but then because I already had the motif of the peacock in mind, I was more alert to references that could tie into that when I was browsing through Pinterest. So it's quite interesting how switching back and forth between certain steps of your process could actually result in some happy accidents of sorts.
For sure.
So yes, that's my exploration and thought process in interpreting the brief. So I apologize for that long ramble, guys, but I think that just about covers it as well.
I think you're gonna be redesigning the town it's gonna be quite a departure from the original. That's what I feel from what you explained.
Maybe.
Is that right?
At least for the dock area, for example, because I want to flare it out like a peacock's feather. Maybe, give me a moment, let me make my brush a lot smaller. Oh, I have caps lock on, so it disappeared. So maybe the docks can kind of radiate out like this. So it's still quite familiar in the sense that there's still the tiered feeling that Alberta has and some of the walls. But maybe this area, the docks are arranged in this way, which I don't think is such a huge departure from what it originally was. Maybe. And then there could be multiple ships that dock here.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So how do you plan on going about it at first? Are you gonna sketch the layout of the map or the city at first? Because what I'm doing right now is just in some ways warming up to the design language that I'm going for before going into the, I guess, to the big picture. So in a way, I'm doing it in reverse, where I get myself acquainted with the design language and then going to the big forms, to the layout.
Right, so you're starting from, I guess, from the smaller parts to the larger overview, rather than from big to small.
Yeah, because somehow for this piece, I feel like they already have such a strong design language in the original. So I'm trying to make sure that what I'm designing later is it's not just like taking their shape and design language and then putting an HD texture on it. So I want to make sure that I got the feeling of the architecture or the props right, then assembling it to a scene.
Yeah, I think
like how do you plan on approaching yours?
I think in this case, because I would approach it in the way that you are too, and I might actually do that, but I feel like I'd rather design the props or the design language of the individual pieces after how they would fit in the bigger picture first. And just as an experiment, because for some of my other projects, such as the Octopus Village that I've shown a couple of episodes back in a previous podcast episode, I actually started off by doing individual architecture first, then I guess the bigger picture. So in this case, I want to just flip that around and just make it a different design exercise for myself. Might not work, but I'll never know until I try.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you normally do it that way, Ken? Is this the typical method that you use?
No, but it's also because in this way, a lot of the stuff has been somewhat designed, right? But if it's a completely original idea, I think I'm gonna go with like the bigger picture and trying to find unique ideas for a layout of the location of the place. So yeah, I guess it just depends on what I'm working on. Like in my previous personal work, I just started by designing the location of the place, like how the building is integrated, exploring that at the same time as I was exploring the design language of the temple, the tomb itself. Because I feel like with the previous piece, it's the architecture is it's very connected to how it's gonna be integrated to the environment. But in this case, it's more of a city. So I'm trying to get a feel of the design of the city at first, and then building the city on top of not on top, but building the city on a composition, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I make any sense.
Sorta. Yeah, I can't say that I follow along.
It's kind of difficult to explain.
So I guess maybe put it this way, like, what are you currently focusing on right now?
I'm really trying to get the
hero buildings first, or just nameless buildings?
Nameless buildings, because I want to make sure that the feel of the buildings, I just want to nail down the feeling of the buildings at first. Because if I look at the original city, it's filled with unique architectures. So I just want to get a feel of what the architecture will be in this HD remake. So I don't want to copy it one to one. I just want to take inspirations from it and then designing my own interpretation of it. So I'm just exploring the design language of the city at first.
I see.
Then I guess once I figure out like the proportions that I like or the material separations that I like, then I'll bring it to a nice composition and layout for the city. If that makes sense.
Do you feel like, yeah, I mean I think I understand now. Do you think that it becomes more difficult though when you're bringing all those things together and you maybe find that some things don't fit in quite as well?
I think the idea is to not exactly follow what I'm sketching here for the final piece, but
I see.
As I said, it's just warming up and exploring what the feel of the city will be. So for the final piece of the composition, I'll just follow what I've warmed up to in a way. So it's not gonna be exactly one to one. Like
I see. So it's
not
more
like
just
I'm gonna
yourself in a sense.
Yeah. It's like napkin sketches. Like,
Right.
just warming up basically. So it's not gonna be what do you call it, a prop sheet that you put inside a painting. But it's just ideas, generating ideas. But I can actually show my mind map.
Oh yeah, you haven't gone through your mind map. That'll be cool to see.
And hello, Calvin. It's good to see you.
Hey Calvin, yeah, it's good to see you here, man.
Okay, so here's my mind map. Oh, and Carta
Your mind
says
map looks a lot neater than mine.
I took inspirations from you.
Mine is like messier this time though.
Hold on. Gonna address Carta real quick. So Carta says that looks highly phallic. It was very suggestive. Thanks, Carta. That's my intention. It's exactly designed that way for you.
Yeah. I think that seems to be a recurring theme with like a lot of the designs. Like even your God's Tower was like a giant penis. Pretty much.
I don't know, man. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, Hode Master Race.
That's how you get free items, right?
Yeah. Free items, free heals, free warps. Yeah. Okay, so back to the mind map. Sorry. So I have some of the words color coded, and just to give it some context, the red ones are for the feelings that I'm trying to achieve with my piece. So in this case, it's wary, creepy, and fun. So just to explain it, fun will be more in terms of the proportions and how the silhouettes are done for the props in the city. And then wary and creepy, it's just gonna be the feel and mood for how the buildings are detailed and for the lighting. So basically the overall feeling of the final piece later. And then the green ones are like the main keywords for, I guess, inspirations for the design language of the city. So it's got stitches, rounded, sharp, glow, and broken. Rounded and sharp might not make sense at first, but I have some idea on how to integrate it. So if you look at my sketch just on the right side here, I'm planning to make the base of all the buildings just a bit more rounded, and then the top making it like sharp, swirly, and more like claws instead. And then also taking inspiration from like the typical witch's hat and shapes like beakers and concoctions, things like that. Because going back to the mind map, the blue ones are the keywords that I'm gonna use for inspirations of the place itself. Can be inspiration for the set dressing or anything really for the location. So you can see things like ideas for props. Maybe there's skulls, pumpkins, dead trees. So yeah, there's keywords that are gonna be used literally and directly for the piece, and there's keywords that's gonna be used as more of an idea generator. And then I also took some time to go over the screenshots that I gathered and just note down the, what do you call it, elements. Note down the elements that are quite, what's the word, elements that are associated with the place itself. So like the witch statue, I think it's one of the centerpiece of the city, so I'm gonna try to keep it.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Yeah, and then sharp fences, tombstones. Yeah, just noting down the elements that are in the city, in the old game. So yeah, that's my mind map.
Nice.
And then for the references, let me go through this one quickly. References. I gathered references of old buildings that's almost been destroyed. Because like for example, this one I really like how it's very wonky and it looks stylized already. So I'm gonna take inspiration from the shape design and even the details of how the buildings are broken. Then also taking references of Gothic houses and medieval houses. And then some extra details that might look cool, but I'm not exactly sure how to integrate them yet. Because I feel like there's some Gothic influences from for the original location. And then the mood that I'm going for is a bit creepy, like the movie Shining. So maybe there's gonna be quite a bit of underlighting, like this image screenshot from the Shining. And then for the style, I'm gonna be taking inspiration from the Spyro remake, like how they handle their proportions and shapes and silhouettes.
So similar to pretty much how you did your personal piece.
Yes. Yeah, that's it for my references and my map.
Very nice. Oh, I'm struggling a lot with my sketches, I'll be honest, because I'm now finding the problem that if I want to keep it very close to the original sketch, then it might be a little bit harder to choose a camera angle, I guess, that could work out. At least I'll have to do more calculation.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't go directly to the camera, like design on the camera itself. Because I feel like with that, I'm just gonna be trying to find compositions instead of finding the design.
Yeah, I think you're right actually. I mean, it's definitely not impossible. I could always like jump into a 3D program and just try and figure it out that way first. I mean, I'll give a few more sketches a go, but I've already scrapped a lot of them. And yeah, this is something that I was a little bit nervous about, in the sense that I would come up with sketches that, or I would struggle to come up with sketches that would work. But you know, this sometimes happens as well on the job, where I would be creating a couple of thumbnails and I feel like I would kind of hit a wall. So it's perfectly normal, and I'm just trying to embrace a little bit of it, in the sense that yeah, I still make mistakes, and it would be a good experience for me and possibly for others to see me struggling as well.
Yeah.
So I might just try and design from the port. So I would like to have a view from.
That'd be a good idea, because that's gonna be the centerpiece that you might want to include for the final image.
So maybe off on the side. And then
So I guess with design,
since there's
I guess with design, you don't have to be stuck to one workflow, but instead find what's gonna be comfortable for the project that you're on.
Definitely, I agree with that. So I might end up just trying out different workflows. And there's definitely the added pressure of doing some of these designs live as well. Because if I'm doing it at my own time, I can definitely take a lot more time.
For sure.
But yeah, maybe the ship is in the foreground. Can make it larger. And then there's the staircase that leads up to more buildings. So I'll probably have a look at how the port towns are kind of tiered and layered. But yeah, I feel like I might let go of the fact that it's just a HD remake. Maybe thinking about just whatever looks cool, but just using the original brief as a base. Maybe. Let me just
Kind of like
canvas it.
Well, other than the phallic connotation, kind of like how this design is integrating a lot of the elements that I'm thinking. For example, the witch hat, and then mushroom, because some mushrooms are toxic, and they're used in a fantasy setting as like typical ingredient for a potion brewing pot or something. So there's already a witch, mushroom, and then it also looks like a beaker, so it adds to the chemical brewing idea that I have with the design language. Now I'm just exploring how different buildings might be integrated into one another, because the city in the original game is quite densely packed. Gonna make sure to also keep that same feeling. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to just post it on the chat. We'll do our best to answer it.
It's definitely challenging though to do like heavier design thinking while trying to keep a conversation going.
Yeah, that's why I'm separating the design part with the composition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's a bit easier to design singular prop.
Yeah, that
like
is
this.
True. It looks like a duck with a witch's hat.
A duck? Oh, I see.
And hey Evan, good to see you in the chat, man.
Hello.
Oof. I'm actually gonna take a little bit of a breather. I'm not gonna step away from the computer, but just not think about my own design for a while, just to kind of clear my head and see what I could do next. And this is actually what I would normally do as well if I get really frustrated with the design, is that I just take a step back from my art. And usually I come back with a fresher mind as well. But it'll be a good time to just have a look at Ken's work and comment.
You know what might help? We can put a Ragnarok Online playlist on our own computer. We don't have to stream it, just to get into the mood.
Oh, I think I'll end up just getting emotional. It's too much nostalgia, man.
Crying on the stream. So you're crying while drawing.
Yeah. That would be an interesting podcast. It feels like I'm gonna cry with the fact that I'm struggling to come up with some design. But I think you might be right there.
Oh, hey Aaron, Agaki. Yeah, we want to put the music on stream, but we're afraid of a copyright strike by the end of the stream.
Just in case, we might try and put it on the YouTube video, but just so it doesn't get muted on Twitch immediately.
Yep.
But yeah, you might be right, Marco. The emotions could help, so I'll put it on for myself. Alberta Ragnarok. If I start crying, you'll know why.
That's a tough question from Carla.
For me, it would definitely be Frontera. Just because who hasn't spent like hours just sitting around in Frontera, just chatting to friends?
I have to listen to Frontera's things.
Oh, that's the one that hits me the hardest. Or Islud as well. And Payon. It's most of the main cities. But yeah, Evan, I'm just getting frustrated with the fact that I haven't been able to come up with a sketch that I've been happy with. And yeah, that sometimes happens as well. And I'm just trying to embrace it. You know, just show the fact that yeah, I still struggle too sometimes, without trying to hide any of that. Guess it is because there's quite a bit of things to represent. Listening to music is helping me just get a little bit more chill. Let me see.
I'm gonna share
I can
a playlist of the music.
I'm just gonna stream Modo actually.
Alright.
And this is where I would try a different approach, where if my 2D approach isn't working, I'll probably just try out 3D.
Oh man, hearing the music just
I know.
Their soundtrack is so good. Like even to this day, it sounds so good, so unique.
I know. I think we're just really biased, Ken. That's why.
Maybe.
So I am going to try to model this according to the map of the town, actually, or a similar layout. So I'm going to give it a try. Just create the floor first.
So wait, what are you creating in 3D again?
Just the layout. If I'm going to be trying to make like making a HD remake of sorts, then I want to make sure that I have the proportions correct.
I see.
So it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be closer at least. And it's going to even just be a rough one. I know, right, Evan?
I know, right?
Honestly. I was just talking to Ken about that, how I really want to play it again now. It's so damn good.
Maybe we should start a Jakarta meetup private server.
Oh, there's plenty of private servers around. They don't have to wait.
Or guild.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
So let's see if I was to make a big ship.
So, when you first played the game, what was your original job? Not original, but what was the first job that you changed to?
I decided to be a crusader.
Wait, let me guess. Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I never really got that far, honestly.
I see.
I ended up doing stupid stat allocations, and being the perfectionist that I am, I ended up just like quitting because I didn't want to have to re-roll.
Wait, Crusader, but that's after a huge update to the game.
Sort of. I mean, I got in a bit later, I suppose.
Oh, I see. Oh, so you didn't play when it first came out?
No, I was a little bit late. And the story about how I got into the game was actually I found it in a bookstore, the guidebook in Gramedia.
I remember they were selling like a compilation of the comics.
Oh yeah,
that was really good. Really good.
I didn't read the comics, it's just the guidebook itself. So that was what got me into the game.
Oh, maybe you were first attracted to the art, because I remember seeing the art and was really mesmerized by it.
It's fantastic. And as I was gonna say, like, the artwork actually has had a big impact in terms of my own development as an artist too.
The artist just recently posted all of the Ragnarok stuff on Livian Art.
Oh really?
Yeah, the original.
All the places.
The original, like the splash art.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And illustrations, yeah.
I had no idea. It's actually good stuff too. I was just talking about this with TCK actually yesterday when he came over to my place after we came back from the anime convention. But we were just talking about how the designs were a lot more grounded compared to some of the much newer classes.
Oh yeah, I don't find the newer classes to be that. What do you call? It's just weird. They look weird.
Yeah, it lacks that grounded feel to it, honestly.
Yeah. It just looks too fantasy.
I agree. I would completely agree with that.
Okay. Here.
So right now I'm just trying to get the layout so I don't have to try and plot that into perspective. So I'm trying to create the huge stairs. Not huge, but
Oh wait,
stairs
I guess
that lead up to the tower.
I guess he didn't submit, not submit. He didn't upload it recently, but someone just posted the link to his profile recently. Never mind.
So it's not actually him.
It's him. It's him. Oh man, still so good.
So I'm creating a big model of a ship. It's interesting, I guess, that I'm so used to seeing this game from top-down view that the moment I'm putting into 3D and moving the camera around, it feels different. It's making me think if some of the shots would be worth doing from the angle I thought it would look good at.
I mean from
So right now I'm trying to do the shot from the port itself. But yeah, maybe not actually. Maybe it's looking down on the port that would look much better. I like the stylization that you have going on, Ken. I think it captures that whimsical feel.
Thank you. I'm trying to make a face on the building, like a skull.
Right.
When you get to 3D, do you sometimes or do you often get stuck in trying to make the perfect model? Like, how do I put it? Like, try to make it perfect.
Oh, of course I do. Hell yeah. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
So even right now, it's like there's something. There's a part of me that's like telling me that you should make everything properly laid out. You should think about how functional the spaces would be, and
yeah,
it's just hard to shut that part of my brain off, honestly. It's really tempting to take the design nice and slow, and maybe this is a reason why that I was a little bit nervous about doing this design jam at first, just because I knew that I would try and over-design and overthink things. So this is probably what I need to work on even more than just technical skills. It's just approaching a design from a more for fun kind of approach, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, glad to hear that I'm not the only one that experiences that, because Latte Milky says, I feel you, Joe. Yeah, does anyone else experience that as well? Like, maybe if they're trying to just do something for fun, but they end up over-designing it or overthinking it just because, it's hard to let go of the expectation of perfection.
Yeah, I think it's a common thing that we all experience. Trying to let that feeling or desire to achieve perfection, just leave it behind.
Yeah.
Well, not at such an early stage. Just don't have that kind of thoughts at such an early stage where I'm exploring ideas.
Yeah.
But it is difficult. I think one of the ways that helps me mitigate that feeling is by doing sketches that are very rough, and I don't care I don't really care about the fundamentals like perspective or anything, so I'm just really
Let's see.
exploring shapes and proportions.
Yeah, that could be a good idea, man. I'll definitely try things out. I'll give this one a go, see how it is. But yeah, I think it's still normal to just have off days in general.
Oh yeah.
So today's definitely one of those days where it's yeah, I'm struggling more than I expected myself to. But I'm still gonna do my best, of course.
Do your worst.
I don't have to try to do that sometimes. But it's good that in a way that you're pulling the weight of the both of us with the designs that you're doing.
I feel like I like it, but it still doesn't feel right yet.
Maybe once you kind of synthesize things together, it'll make a bit more sense.
Perhaps.
Maybe I'll just go back. So what do you people in the chat do when you're faced with frustration when it comes to a design not working out? I'm curious to hear how you guys deal with it, so we can make this into a conversation.
We should buy a beanbag.
A beanbag.
Or a punching
A
bag.
stress ball.
Yeah. Cry.
Cry.
That's so depressing.
Yeah.
Hot chocolate sounds good. I love hot chocolate at this point.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to sketching as well and see how that goes. I've actually been using the pencil brush quite a lot. Or not the pencil brush, but the pencil tool quite a lot recently actually. And that's been inspired by Darren Bacon's tutorials. I've just been watching a lot of that.
It's pixelated, right? Like with no aliasing.
It gives a very sharp look, which I like.
Wait, Darren Bacon has a tutorial?
Yeah, on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, design tutorials and just general workflow techniques. So those have been super interesting to watch for me during work and whatnot.
Oh, concept department.
Yeah, that's him. So if you've watched it, then yeah. Now you know where it is.
I haven't actually watched it.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a good designer.
I know, he's freaking good. And I can link it into the chat actually.
Yeah. I wonder if he likes bacons.
His ancestors might have.
Perhaps.
So right now what I'm trying to do is just look at the original screenshot of the game. Not screenshot, concept art. I'm just trying to see like different camera angles that I could try out. So I did one here, approximately here. Thought that would be a cool view actually. So maybe instead from the port, I could have it looking down.
For me, I'm gonna take almost a direct inspiration from this reference here. It's really awesome. Really like how the structure is bent and skewed. And it's a real photography as well, so
maybe we're onto something here. Oh, that's crazy. The buildings have a lot of personality behind them.
yeah. I'm gonna try to make this part here like a mouth, like an open mouth, so it looks like a monster. Rumah miring. Have to check that out.
Sounds strange. And right now I'm trying to design from the different point of view as well, since a lot of the shots from the port don't seem to be doing it as much justice. I decided to maybe try and do some shots.
Maybe what you can also do is do more like a bird's eye view or more of an establishing shot of the city.
Yeah, that's true.
Instead of
can definitely
going into the details.
Yeah, I suppose I did want to just do a shot where it feels like we're inside the game more.
Right.
So if I'm imagining it as a HD, this shot could work. So something from the rooftops of one of the buildings perhaps. So I'm just gonna probably leave it there and move on to another one, rather than completely scrapping everything. Hey, I like that building that you're doing.
Yeah.
That one I think is starting to work, like the integration of the face into the building.
I still have to explore on how to make it more stylized. Just more fun. Right now it just feels like I'm following the photo too closely, but it's fine.
What do you mean by the cricket sound, Evan? Are you talking about Ken's mic? Hey, your mic sounds are gone now. So I'm going back to another shot from the port as well, trying out. So maybe I'm giving up on the idea of making it super close to the original reference image and just focus more on making a cool shot. Maybe that's what has been restricting me too much. And time to look at more from the reference images actually.
I'm listening to Geffin's theme song. So good.
I paused mine actually.
Oh.
Or Ragnarok Online OST. It would be really nice if we could stream the music though.
Yeah. Should have tested it at first. Stream on one of our own private profiles.
True. Oh well. And I'm now listening to Pion. That's definitely one of the songs that gets to me a lot. It's actually one of those games that I keep on coming back to, especially with the availability of private servers and all.
Yeah. And you've also made quite a lot of friends through the game, right, Jourdan?
Oh yeah, you're definitely right about that, Carta. I think they really nailed the mood with the Pion theme song.
Is Pion supposed to sound Korean?
Yep, it is a Korean town, man.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
It is actually really nice to listen to game soundtracks while working. I haven't done that in a long time. Maybe something like this. And there's like a big forest behind. Not forest. Some buildings. Although doing this definitely risks me losing out on some of the feel. Or at least recognizability on what Alberta originally looks like. So I have to be very careful actually.
Try to design the like a multi-story building. Because all the building designs now it's more of a singular house.
Maybe a crane here or some cargoes. So introducing some foreground element. Maybe a huge crane that kind of sticks out in the foreground here. Maybe. It's not the worst shot. So give it a slight 3-point perspective. Maybe I'll stick with that.
I think what you can also try doing is making it more of a cascaded city, so you can see what the background is like. Because if you're doing a shot from down below, usually you won't be able to see the whole city, right? But if you make it cascaded, like cities in Greece where they typically build it near the cliffside, so taking references more closely, and you might be able to make it look more Alberta, maybe. Not sure.
Yeah, I can look at some more references of Santorini. Just try and get some reference images that are closer to the ground, perhaps. Or higher up. That might not be a bad idea at all. So people can see the cascading. Yeah, I'll try a different one. Because otherwise I feel like I'm just hitting my head, you know, against the brick wall. And it's not... And the brick wall seems to be winning.
Oh, thanks, Evan.
Okay. Maybe now from here I can bring back some of the more recognizable elements. I think we might be getting somewhere here. If I end up coming up with a shot that I'm happier with from here, then hopefully that can turn into a lesson. It's more interesting, I'd say.
So you're looking down at the board from...
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'm actually looking... Yeah, I'm looking at... Let me pull this up. I'm looking at this as a reference image. So I can just kind of have the ports here. And then some of the boats here. Yeah, there we go. I think we're getting somewhere here. And maybe, and since Alberta is near sunken island, a sunken ship, maybe we can see something in the distance, you know, some archipelagos or islands. That would be quite cool. A little nod to some of the players. Some big clouds too.
I thought you have to go through Islud to go to that map.
Oh, yeah, Bialan, that's right. Maybe there's
the sunken ship.
Yeah, I think that is actually
with the pirate boss.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Drake. So I can't quite remember honestly, but whatever. Because Alberta is meant to be a place where you go into different areas from a boat ride. So we'll see. Maybe there's a ship parked here as well.
Celeste. Is Celeste a good game, Evan? Sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, nothing. It's just, I think this shot might be interesting. I'm liking it actually. It feels more interesting already.
Could be your money shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the lesson here really could be just find the right reference image. Maybe.
I see. Did you buy it on Switch? I remember you bought a Switch recently.
I really would like a Switch right now if I could get my hands on one.
You can join the Atom Hawk competition.
Oh yeah, that's true, guys. There is actually a competition for Atom Hawk right now if you're interested in joining. And there's some very attractive prizes such as a Nintendo Switch and I'm not sure, Cintiq, I think an 18-inch Cintiq. So it's pretty good prizes.
They haven't announced the theme yet, right?
Not yet, I think. So I won't spoil it if they haven't.
But you know what the theme is?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Of course I do.
Are you one of the judges? Haven't asked.
Nah, I'm not. I have no say in who the winners will be. So sorry. I can't play any favorites. Or I could enter the contest with a fake name.
Do they ship the prizes internationally?
I think so.
Huh.
If that is the case, then you could join, Ken. And see if you can win yourself a prize.
I don't know. I'm gonna be really busy starting next week. Not next week, but starting tomorrow. This week. We'll see. I do want to try my hands on a contest.
Oh no, what?
On a contest. Because I feel like every time there's a contest being held, it's never the right time for me, either because I'm getting a lot of work or there's just something going on with my personal life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's understandable, man.
Sounds like an excuse, but it's not. It's true.
It is. It's an excuse, guys. I know that Ken just does nothing with most of his spare time.
Thea said she joined Into the Void last year, but she was so bad.
I see. You know, funnily enough, one of the person that ended up winning the contest is now working there.
Oh, who was he?
Morton. And
Oh,
he's one of my good friends here. So yeah, it worked out really well for him in the end.
Did he just come out of graduation, or?
No, he was working at MPC before that.
Oh.
MPC advertising. Because most people get really excited when they hear, "Whoa, MPC," and then like, "Oh no, it's only the advertising," which is still great. Yeah, it was a really great illustration. I think it's a very well deserved win, and yeah, I'm glad that it ended up working out, since like I said, he ended up being one of my really good friends.
I'm curious now.
And Latte Milky is actually redesigning along with us, Ken. So that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. What are you redesigning? And I think a lot of the sketches that I'm doing now are starting to get somewhere. I somehow feel like a lot of the sketches that I did at first were just to shake the rust off. Like if you have a look at the sketch that I'm doing now, it's essentially taking the camera and placing it around here. And then viewing around here as well. So it's not super accurate, but I think it's quite interesting seeing the lighthouse here and then the ship behind it as well. So that's what I'm trying to capture in this shot.
Hey Carta, are you joining us in redesigning the game? Because if you're not, you should.
Yeah, dude, you should. Even if it's just a small thing, like just a monster.
Yeah, man.
Or something like that. Or a prop. Maybe you can redesign some of the robots from Juperos.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really cool to see, Karta. And Latte Milky says, I was gonna redesign Geffen, but I found really dark references. Yeah, I can see that happening. Especially
I don't
with
think
magic.
I don't think you can redesign the pouring, Evan.
It's too iconic.
Exactly. It's perfect. It's a slime. It's just like the Dragon Quest slime.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about the fact that they're making a movie. I don't know if you've seen some of the trailers.
Dragon Quest movie
in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, really gorgeous.
Oh.
I don't get excited about movies at all, but you know, there's a few out there that I find to be
like Pokemon.
Really interesting. I didn't end up watching it.
Oh,
unfortunately.
I thought you did. Okay.
Nah, I didn't. It takes a lot to drag me to the cinema, man.
I know.
You've tried.
Hot redesign with veins.
That would be funny.
Oh.
Yeah, do it, Carla.
Honeymoon destination. Interesting. Are
Or
you
Hawaii.
getting married?
Yes.
Are you getting married? Really? What?
Oh, I get it. Latte Milky, for those of you that are not reading the chat, Latte Milky said redesigning Hawaii is a perfect timing for me to research for honeymoon destination. But yeah, Ragnarok takes a lot of design inspirations from real life places, so it's really cool, in my opinion.
Oh, I see. I see Carla is trying to hit on me.
Let's keep it professional now, Karta. Yeah, I think sometimes it's a case of just shaking off the rust a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't been drawing that much this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's why
the last time I picked up a stylus. Huh?
No, that's why if you look at the sketch at the start to the last one, it's different. You do need to warm up.
Are you talking about yours or mine? Oh, yours.
Mine. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're just designing mushrooms at the start, but near the end it's getting a lot more interesting, I think.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, outside of doing stuff for work, I've actually barely been drawing at all this week. It's been quite a busy one for me.
How was the convention? I know we talked about it before the stream, but maybe you can.
Oh yeah, so yesterday, guys, I went to Newcastle, a Newcastle anime convention called SunnyCon, and I went along with my wife and also TCK. We were just curious to see what it's like in the cosplaying scene and also the anime scene in Newcastle. And I would say it was quite fun. I would say it was rather uneventful. There weren't too many of events going on, at least ones that we were interested in. The artist alley was really cool. and that's one of my favorite things about going to conventions in general. But for example, there was like a cosplay competition and it was scheduled to run for 1 hour, but due to the amount of cosplayers, I suppose, it only went on for like 20 minutes. So yeah,
I guess they overestimated the number of people who will be joining.
I think it's better to I don't know, maybe it is actually better to overestimate,
I guess.
Underestimate in that case. But yeah, and there were some pretty good cosplays here and there, and there were some very interesting ones, to put it mildly.
How would you compare it to the Indonesian conventions?
It's because it was held, the venue was quite small. It ended up getting quite hot, quite fast. So that was not very comfortable, I'll be honest. And
That's
I
one
got
of the biggest.
quite.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest? The problems.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, one of the biggest killers for conventions for me. If it's hot.
Yeah, it was like a low ceiling room, and UK is having a heat wave as well. So yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, because especially at conventions, if it's hot, people will sweat a lot.
Yeah, and so people that tend
to
go to anime conventions,
hey, let's
some
not
of
go
them, yeah. I'm sorry, but it has to be said. But there's some people that I think have rather offensive body odors. So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna stop there. But I thought it was cool, and it gives me an idea of what the anime, I suppose, scene is like in Newcastle, so that if I ever decide to open up my own table at a convention, I know how much I can put up some items. I think it's good. It was a good experience, but we ended up just going back home a bit early. Weebador. There was this, that Pokemon generator thing, right? And
yeah.
One of the people on the Jakarta Meetup Discord posted up an image of a Garbodor mixed in with a Weedle. That's how they call Weebador.
Weepodor.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums up part of my experience at the Comic-Con.
I'm actually quite surprised that there's even a convention in Newcastle, because it's not such a big city compared to, say, London or even Edinburgh.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That's why I thought it was really great that they had it, and it was quite crowded despite it being a small venue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the people at the Artist Alley were really friendly as well.
How much was the ticket there to go in?
£12.
Oh, that's pretty
around
cheap.
£12. Yeah, it's not bad. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, it was a little bit uneventful. Like, some of the events that were going on were not necessarily my kind of thing as well. So outside of like the cosplay contest, they had normal things as well, such as voice actresses. Bless you. Voice actresses that were at the convention too. But then there were some really interesting ones, such as along the lines of like maid cafe dance class. There was like a rated 18 plus yaoi panel or something like that. It was strange. I did not walk in that room. so I did not spend too long after a while there, and I went back home.
Did you get anything though?
Oh yeah, a few merchandise, just small things. And one of my friends who worked at Adam Hawk before, Dina, was there too, so I decided to purchase one of the short story books that she had on sale, which is really awesome. It's really great to see her doing really well after leaving Adam Hawk.
Oh, she's left Adam Hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Where is she working now?
Really freelancing. And just working independently. So she's been doing her own personal projects and illustrations. And yeah, if you guys in the chat have not seen her work before, I definitely recommend that you do. A lot of great stuff. So it's cool to meet her and just visit the table.
Really liking the last one that I did.
Are you praising yourself?
No, I'm analyzing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Maybe not the needle and claw-like supports. It's too much. Yeah, this is better.
Some of the shots that I've been doing are a little bit more successful too, I would say, compared to some of my earlier ones at least. I'll just put it that much. Could use a lot of refining, which I will do for sure off of the podcast. So we'll be continuing this off of the podcast as well, guys. Just because otherwise I don't think we'll have enough time to finish all of it live. And we'll be moving on actually soon to the Q. Actually, we can just open up the Q&A session now. Yeah. So if any of you have questions so far, just let us know. Oh no, wrong layer. Yeah, just let us know. And soon we'll be moving on to the artwork of the week segment as well.
I'll do one more building, then I'm gonna go to composition exploration.
Nice. I think you're making much more solid progress. But yeah, I think this could be a lesson for me where maybe I should just keep it a bit more simple for myself as well. But it's okay. It's an experience. And like I said, I've been doing it for my other personal projects as well, so I thought that it would be nice to try something a little bit different. Guess it's not bad. Yeah, some of the shots are working out quite okay. Let's see. So I might have to tie some of the design back to the original. So we have much more of the building showing, since it's an iconic part of the city.
Yeah, that's the biggest building in the town, right?
I don't know. It's actually supposed. There's one that's like the merchant guild, so and there's like windmills as well, which is cool. So I could even have it in the background here, the merchant. Yeah, actually this shot's not bad at all. I quite like it. Because this gives me an excuse just to do a big building in the front. Which is what I normally do for my own personal stuff.
I'm debating whether to put a cross on some of the tombstones. What do you think?
To do what?
Adding a cross to tombstones.
You can always just do what they do in the game, you know, just kind of like edit it a bit. And I honestly think it's fine. I don't really think it's a big issue.
Nowadays, there's
just do it.
A lot of people being butthurt.
It's fine, man. It's fine. I would say just do it. And we actually have one question from Latte Milky, which is, how do you balance between practicing design and fundamentals? I think it just depends like what my current biggest issue is. If I feel like right now I'm unable to execute a design because I'm lacking in fundamentals, then I'll skip over to that and switch over to that for my sketching in my sketchbook. But otherwise, I would try to focus on design languages and coming up with new designs if I feel like, okay, maybe my portfolio just needs more unique designs now. And I feel like I have the fundamental skills to do it.
Right. I think what can help is by working on per project basis instead of trying to learn fundamentals all the time. So by doing it per project basis, you have a real goal of what you want to achieve, and then in that way, in that sense, you will know better if you need fundamentals more, if you need to learn fundamentals more, or if you need to learn more like design thinking. Because by having a real project, it helps you think of what to do next, or what will help you do the project better or design better.
I agree with that.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. It's just that it depends what your current priorities are, and I think as you I suppose become more comfortable with the whole idea of designing and you have decent fundamentals, usually you'll find out what you're lacking more in as you just do live projects. Whereas at the start, I would recommend for most people, if they want to get a portfolio ready or an industry ready portfolio, is to just focus on nailing the fundamentals down first.
Yeah. Oh, you should check out the blog by Fang. He's been posting a series of design ideas, and I think it's good for beginners, and he explained how to get good looking portfolio without having to actually design anything new. So a lot of it requires solid fundamentals, so that's what I'd recommend. And yeah, just if you want to know more, just go to his blog.
I'm quite liking this top shot that I have because it has a really nice contrast of just a big architectural shape.
I think if you zoom it out a little bit more so you can see the top of the windmill that's in front, it will look better.
I see.
Right now it's just a bit awkwardly cut. Yeah.
I suppose. Cool. And then you can see the streets here as well. I think that would be quite nice.
Yeah, you can maybe add some bazaar,
yeah,
like a market.
mm-hmm.
Just hints of
bizarre.
Hands or whatever.
That's looking
People
a bit
selling.
bizarre. And adding some palm trees which are spread
trees.
all across Alberta.
But it's starting to look like Alberta.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Well, something's starting to shape up properly after most of the podcast
Yeah, that looks,
of me struggling.
that's a really nice base to start stylizing the city in your own design sense.
Yeah. Oh, and we have 2 more questions, so let's quickly answer that, Ken, and then we can move on to the artwork of the week.
Do you guys still
segment.
use similar design process that Pang showed in those videos? I think like we
Sometimes,
mentioned
depends
earlier. Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, I think design, you have to keep a flexible mind when you're designing something for a project. Because it might, like Jourdan, he was having trouble with the design of the city, so he decided to go to 3D and then come back with more sketches. But I mean, even though it might not work, but it's always good to explore and see if it will work for this kind of assignment or project.
Yeah, it's never so linear. It depends. If I'm very comfortable with or if what I'm doing is very grounded and based in existing things, I probably use more Feng's method. But if it's something that's a bit more, that requires a lot heavier design thinking, then I'd approach it in a different way.
Yep.
So I would say that it's best to think of the workflows and methods as just different things in your toolbox, honestly.
For sure.
It's not that I've abandoned them, it's just that my question that I'd ask is that, is it suitable for the workflow that I have right now?
Right. I agree. Okay,
So
then
if it
next,
is, then I
yeah. Sorry. Next question.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one, and then we can wrap this episode.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So the next one. How do you guys balance on doing freelance and personal peace between work? Can I balance those 3? Really lacking time and motivation doing personal work right now. Do you want to answer this, Jourdan? Because you have full-time work. You had a time where you did full-time work, freelance, and a personal piece.
Yeah.
How did you balance it?
That was really difficult, actually. So I would say the balance, in the sense, it changes where I had to give up certain things, like more leisure time, spending time with my wife. So there's no such thing really as balance where I have all of my priorities with equal attention to all of them. So it's more like I just decided to put some of them on the back seat. But right now, because I realized that if I take freelance and do a full-time job, I'll be too busy to do other things, I've made it a point not to take any freelance unless I found it to be really worth it for my career. But yeah, I think the word balance seems to almost be like a trick question in a sense. It's just
Speaking
that
of balance,
I shifted my priorities around.
Speaking of balance, you guys might want to check out our first artist panel. It's about work-life balance.
Oh yeah. yes.
On YouTube.
Fantastic plugin, Ken. Yes.
Of course.
But yeah, you will hear a lot of different opinions of artists, not just our own as well. So I think it'll be good to check out.
Yeah.
And
I think in my case, sorry.
No, sorry. That would be moving on. Just answer.
I'll just answer it quickly. In my case, what I had to do, well, even what I have to do now, is reduce the amount of freelance I take from 3 to 1, so I have more time to do my personal work. And then luckily, in turn, after I uploaded my latest personal work to my ArtStation, I got more new work that's a lot better than the work that I've received before. So it's kind of like losing something at first, just so that you can gain something better in return in the future. So you just you just sometimes have to make sacrifices.
So I don't think balance is always possible. Sometimes it's just that you have to focus on what's your priority right now.
Yeah, sure.
And quickly to answer Damas's question, because you mentioned they are good for beginners. Yes, I think so. If you are starting out, try to do more grounded designs. It means that you have to design less, and you can count on the efforts and successes of the people that have managed to refine that design, rather than trying to do something on your own. Alright, so these are the sketches that I have actually.
So let me finish the last one.
Alright.
It's almost done.
Alright.
You can go through yours. Thanks.
For my sketches, first one I decided to address a lot of the issues that I was having by using a good reference image. And I think I can be a bit stubborn sometimes, where I try and do everything from scratch, and well, it definitely solved a lot of my headaches, just taking the time to go back to research something. And I'm quite happy with this one, because you really get a sense of how the architecture is like, and then you can feel that there's a difference in height as well, and the fact that I've hinted at an island way into the horizon, I think makes it quite an interesting image to look at overall. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with this one. And for the second image that I've done, I've decided to take an angle from more of the dock areas, which I think works quite well if that's what I want to show off. So maybe I could have a shot of some smaller boats in the foreground as well, to introduce smaller elements, and maybe some cargo here as well, and then maybe a crane, just to create a bit of, what do you call it, parallaxing, and seeing the boat in the background and then the cascading city in the back, which works quite well. This, I would say, is I like this shot too. And this shot is a little bit more ordinary, where it's like 1 point perspective, and you see the crane and the boat as the focus, which can be quite nice as well. It just depends on what I really want, since all of them can work for its own purposes.
I think the first one works best.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it really like when you see it with the iconic building, it just makes more sense for me as a player. If there's an HD remake, it makes more sense to have that iconic building back.
Yeah, because if usually as a player as well, you would be spending most of your time in the town square rather than the port, I think, or at least in my experience. So yeah, I can see why you would say that works out better, Ken. And yeah, I'll most likely just refine it, and I'm glad that I was able to, in a way, dig myself out of a hole, and come up with something in the end that I'm quite happy with.
Really awesome.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Karta. His Blender just crashed actually, and it deleted 30 minutes of progress.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's good. I thought Blender was pretty good at that, but yeah, that sucks, dude. All right, Ken, are you done with your sketch?
Yeah. I'm done. So, let's go through this one, okay? First, I was trying to design the statue, but I was just getting too much into the detail of the shot that I wanted, but it wasn't working out. So I decided to go with designing the design language at first. And so I started with the towers, taking ideas from witch's hat, beakers, mushrooms, things that are associated with witch and concoctions. And then I started exploring the different shapes of the tower, maybe like a bigger base or slimmer base, and different arrangements for the roof.
I can really see it evolving as you progress.
Yeah, I think out of all the design workflows, I like sketching the best. Because for me, sketching is freeing. It's like freeing myself
I completely.
Yeah.
And that's why I also approached mine with just 2D. I don't like working in 3D, honestly, and I know that there's some people in the chat that might disagree with me, and that's fine, but it's what I grew up with, and yeah, Ragnarok was a big part of it. And I remember how much it would have influenced me when I was younger, and even until now. So it's been a lot of fun just getting a chance to go back to it and pay homage to it.
I will need to design the witch statue because that's the centerpiece of the city.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how you fit all of this in a composition, but really awesome stylizations. I think it looks a lot of fun, and you still keep to what makes Niflheim the way that it is.
That's good to hear that. Thanks.
I think you can still put in some elements like the giant faces, like they have like pumpkins or masks on top. It's a little bit heavy-handed, but it is what makes Niflheim a little bit more fun. And some of them are straying a little bit towards the area of more serious, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe maybe I'll just put on a face on the building directly, like this part here. Very
yeah.
It's quite
obvious. I think that could work.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to our
that would conclude the design jam section, and we will move on to the artwork of the week segment, where we share artwork that have left an impression on us. And I will pull out some of the ones that I've collected, and I've got two of them. Alright, I guess I'll start first while Ken is opening his up. One of the ones that I'd like to share is an artist that I've discovered a few weeks ago actually, but haven't really had the chance to put it on an artwork of the week segment. But this piece is by Aric Athesis. I think that's how you pronounce it. But I really love the stylization and the shape design that this artist has, and yet still having an anime influence to it as well, but at the same time looking almost like an art deco and even like a Japanese mural, traditional Japanese mural as well, which I think is such an interesting blend. And I've actually unknowingly discovered Aric's artwork off of a mobile phone game that I'm playing right now, which is AFK Arena. There's some really gorgeous character designs, and it's the only game that I've seen from a Facebook ad that made me want to download it, and I still do play it now every once in a while. So yeah, it's really gorgeous designs. Yeah, so be sure to check it out if you're curious.
I've seen the ad before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So it definitely has worked on me. And the next piece as well is piece by Amelion. And I'm just a sucker for this kind of style where it almost looks like a blend of anime and Disney. And I just really like the design of the character and the way that it's rendered. It's not overly done, as you can still see the line work. And I just find it to be a very enchanting image overall. And that's why I decided to choose it for my artwork of the week.
Cool. And then hold on. For my artwork of the week, it's from a guy called Robert Simon, and his art station is Killborn Graphics. And this is a piece that he did for I think the final season, not final season, the final episode, or the second to last episode of season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Is this spoilers then for some people?
Maybe. I don't care.
There's some people that's gonna be unsubscribing from the channel as we speak.
To be fair, just don't watch the last season, guys. It's really bad. just assume that the show ended at season 6 or 7 at most. 8 was really bad, but this piece here is really cool. Unrelated to how the season was written.
I see. And I think some people agree with that.
Yeah. We can talk.
I haven't watched it myself, so
yeah, we can talk hour long about why season 8 was bad, but let's not do that. Let's focus on this piece here. And what I really like about this one is that the sense of lighting and the camera angle is quite different than what we're usually used to. Because if we're thinking about a dragon attacking a castle, I think most of us will immediately think of showing the dragon right on in front of the camera or something, like very close to the camera. But in this approach, it's quite unique because it's from the top down. We're seeing it from afar, and we're just seeing how the scale of the dragon right next to the castle. And then I also really like how he did the brush strokes of the in the paintings.
It's really nice, dramatic shot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And Thea is also saying, such a shame though, the visuals of season 8 were beautiful.
For sure. I think the
screenshot as well.
The CGI for Game of Thrones has always been great, but the script, I must say it declined in quality. It's really a shame because the first 5 seasons to me was really great, and then 6, 7, and 8 they're starting to decline. But, oh well.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, let's move on to the final artwork of the week. Or is this the only one that you have, Ken?
No, this is the only one.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, I guess that wraps up the episode for today, guys. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. Enjoyed seeing me struggle with my piece for most of the podcast.
I guess people must be enjoying seeing you struggle.
Sorry, I think your audio cut out there for a while.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I think people are enjoying seeing you struggle.
Strange. It cut out again just now too, but I'm guessing that you said that they enjoy seeing me suffer. And if that's the case, then so be it. Yeah, hopefully that it does show to people that even professionals still struggle as well, and I definitely don't want to make mine hidden. And I think it can be very easy to want to keep up this perfect image in front of everyone. And yeah, it's something that I'm tempted to do, but yeah, in the end, I still managed to do something that I think we could work off of. So yeah, hopefully it will serve as a lesson as well, that it's still never too late to kind of bounce back from a bad piece and try to come up with different methods of recovering from it as well.
Okay.
And Thea said as well, thank you for our podcast, guys. Cool designs. Thank you very much, Thea, and it's great to have you on the podcast as well.
Sure.
And yeah, thank you so much everyone that's been watching as well. And of course, as always, we have the links to the Drawing Table social media on the screen as well, or at least Ken will be showing it very soon. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook for updates on upcoming content, and on YouTube to watch our previous episodes, and of course on Twitch to catch future episodes live. And we also have a Facebook group for our community, which you can join on the following link, and there you can post your designs for this week's design jam, or you can just tag us with the hashtag TDT Design Jam to share your designs with us and for a chance for it to be featured and critiqued on the next episode. Is there anything else you want to say, Ken?
Yeah, or you can also tag us, not us, but well, you can tag us and also the Drawing Table podcast directly on Instagram if you don't want to use hashtags. Yeah, that's all I wanted to add. So
yeah, and we'll continue working on this piece as well and walk through about how we've gotten to the end result as well. But yeah, once again, thank you so much guys for being with us at the Drawing Table today, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much for being in the podcast, guys. See you guys.
All right, take care. See you guys.
Bye bye.